Hey gang, Christo's here with Better at BI. Today's Friday, which means another episode of PBIF. So quick recap, you all have heard about my 5 data rights, right? Using the right tool with the right data to the right people at the right time so they can make the right decision. Notice I didn't have use the right function or use the right formula. Get the right data. Accuracy has to be a priority. I don't care how you do it. If you're going to manage it yourself, it doesn't matter. Quick background. Good friend of mine doing some great work at a very large regional healthcare provider. He is working on creating visit counts and stuff like that for his financial part of the organization. Now, he's not using the built-in time intelligence function in Power BI, mainly because he forgot one thing. But first, I'm guilty of it too. I do it often. Time calculations require measurements. You can't do a year to date, a month to date, a quarter, blah, blah, blah. You can't do any of those things with a calculated column. You have to use a measure. I know that sounds silly, it sounds weird, it sounds nuanced, but that's the way Power BI does things. All right, so let's go to my screen for a second. So how easy is it to use these built-in time functions? Well, it's really quite simple. So again, you see my crash data right here. Now what you see is my first column, accident count. That's my measure, right? What is that measure? It's basically calculate distinct count of CPD, instance ID. No biggie, we get that. What's this total YTD? So total YTD, which is down here, is using the function total YTD. This is aggregating the measure. This is why it has to be a measure, not a calculated column. This is saying, you know what? I'm gonna take all of these accident count measures and I'm just gonna sort of aggregate them. What am I gonna use? I'm gonna use this date table to help guide me and to make sure I'm using the year to date. It's really that simple. Now, the next column, date YTD. What's that? I'm going to show you that in a second. Same exact thing, except we're saying, hey man, do the calculation. See where we got calculate right there? Do the calculation of the accident count. But for how long? What's my date? Actually, I only want you to care about the dates, the year to date, from this date table over here. Okay, cool. So again, you've got two things that are identical, except in slightly the way that we write them. A purist, someone who is someone who really, really, really loves DAX, might be able to explain why there's a difference. And he or she might be able to explain why you may want to use one or the other. I don't care. I don't care. I don't think you should care either. It's all about getting the right data to the right people, right? So let's move on. So what's this MTD accident count? Let me go to that. Let me show you that as well. So that is, again, it's just like the year to date, except it's month to date. And we're looking at just the month of the data. So January is 1382, February, according to the data, is 106. Now, one of the things with this data, and like most healthcare data, it's dirty, it's nasty, it doesn't usually make sense. There's a lot of extra data. So you're gonna have to create a calendar, or I call it a date table. And that's super easy. So if you just go to new table and you select new table, you're gonna end up having the right DAX. I'll show you, just boom. You see, it prompts you for that. Now I'm not gonna do that because I've already got it done right here. So if I go to date, I did the new table, and here's what I did. I said, hey, build me a calendar, use the calendar function, and I only want the minimum, I want the first year, the first date in my data set, and I only want the last day in my data set. I don't want you to put in any extra. I don't want any fluff. I don't want anything extra. And the reason why I do that is, I'm going to go back to this for a second, is because when I use this date filter here, I don't want them to be able to go to to January or whatever of 2023 or July 1 of 2023. Because if you use that calendar function, it will put in all those extra dates. I don't want that. You don't want to confuse your end user. So I do a min and a max. So again, my name is Christos. This is Better at BI and another episode of PBIF. Time intelligence functions are incredible and they're super awesome and they can do a lot of stuff, but you have to use a measure, not a calculated column. Now, maybe that's a discussion for another day. So my name is Christos. This is Better at BI. Like everyone else on YouTube, if you wouldn't mind hitting like and subscribing, I would greatly appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.